Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
It is a windy, well, breezy, cool morning. So we're going to head out to the farm. If the wind lets up, we can do some burning. Otherwise, we will find plenty of other things to do today. Good morning, Rose. I think Dusty's still sleeping. So we're headed out to the farm. There's plenty to do. If we don't get around to burning piles today because of too high winds, then we'll do other things. It's one thing about the farm, there's always something to do. It's been cool and wet, which is pretty typical for most all of Alaska in the fall, which is okay. It's indicative of a lot of places. Well, here we are making the drive. Kind of a slight rain drizzle, yeah. Leaves are starting to turn. For some reason for this year, the birch tree leaves kind of just turn brown. I mean, they got a little color to them, but they're not going to be real spectacular. As soon as we get a frost, the poplar and the cottonwood will start to go ahead and turn, and the tamarack, which is really similar to a larch, much shorter needles and grows primarily in the swampy areas. Well, it turns yellow as well, kind of a pretty tree. The fireweed has got a red hue to it, as you can see. We're pretty close to a frost at this point. Weather forecasts look like it may hold off another week or two. Lots of hunters out today. Today is the 9th of September, so we're a third of the way into the season. So lots of people out doing their morning hunts. Okay, out at the farm. Panorama here. Looks like we got some clearish weather coming in. Looking pretty nice out that direction. So still drizzling. I'm sure that's going to come to an end here in an hour or two. If we go out towards the mountain, you can see. And if we turn around the other way, still gray. So the wind is dying down, which makes sense. Don't know if we can see it or not. See what comes in past the outhouse up on the hill. See a bright light, the white light. That is the quarry. They're actually, I believe, going to be blasting today, getting material ready for this upcoming bridge work and other work. Okay, the wind's pretty much quit. We're going to go and light some piles off. Dave's mulching close, so it's okay. We received quite a few boxes of old printer paper with that trailer we got, and come to find out it is very handy to use to start fires. So we want to make sure we get in somewhere where the fire will be going good. So the fire starter. Okay, light it. And I'll get the leaf blower. We'll put a little air on it. So the leaf blower is pretty nice to have, actually. Although most of these piles are dry wood and light off pretty quickly and burn almost completely, the leaf blower does ensure you to get a good hot fire going fast, and in our case, so we can move on to burn multiple piles. But if we were fighting damp wood or maybe even some snow on the pile, the leaf blower would be invaluable to help with that. It is a wonderful feeling to be able to burn these piles and remove them from the field. It's one less obstacle to have to go around with the tractor, and it's that much more farmable space in the field. Really, really nice day. Rain during the night and into the morning. It's a little after 9 o'clock. There's a slight breeze, which keeps the smoke going one way, which is fine. Here's where that pile looks like after a week. There's a couple of hot spots, but for the most part it is just flat burned down to nothing.
Tom's going to go on the back side of the piles, push them forward, where we can maybe burn them next weekend.
In this section of the farm, we're going around knocking over the dead standing spruce trees and gathering up the spruce trees and birch trees that have fallen on the ground. The fire burns the root systems out, and in windstorms, the trees fall over. Not necessarily trying to gather up any of the green brush, only the logs, so they can be consolidated into piles and burned. The mulcher would do a nice job in here as well, but we have both pieces of equipment, might as well use them. With the larger logs out of the way, the mulcher can go right through almost without a second pass and grind all the brush up. And then it's just a matter of a little time with the disc, and voila, you have farmland. Okay, it's Saturday, about 1 o'clock. These piles are burned down to virtually nothing. Well, it is flat, calm evening. Beautiful night. Well, it's a little after 8 o'clock. Just a beautiful evening. The sun's just fixing to go behind the ridge here by the corn. Thought I'd get a little clip of that. Just a nice evening. Well, it's been a good day. Got some piles burned, a few other things done here around the farm. Not near as much as I would like to, but that's the way it goes. This evening we're going to attend to the fires a little more. George has lots of disking to do. One of the advantages to getting these burn piles out of the way, we can disc the fields up and get them ready to plant next year. So sometimes it's a little hard to think about all this work. We have to wait another 6 or 8 months before we do something again. That's part of it. It'll pay off in the spring when everything's ready to go. Again, just a gorgeous evening. So it's been right at 12 hours since we started these fires. And they are all done. Just smoldering now. Take the dozer, push them in. Try to get them to burn up a little more. There'll be a few logs that are not going to burn. Should be able to come back tomorrow and consolidate them again, at least one more time. It's hard to think that winter is right around the corner. 3 weeks from now, more than likely we'll have some snow or chance of it, and it will be winter. But for now, it is a wonderful fall evening. Well, if you look far off in the distance, across the valley to the mountains, you'll see a strip of white that looks like clouds. That's fresh snow from the last rainstorm that moved through. This is often referred to as termination snow, and is a sign that summer is over and winter is about to begin. All part of the change in seasons. Sun's just about down. Fires are almost done. Did a bunch of consolidating. It's actually starting to sprinkle a little bit. Don't think there's going to be a lot of rain out of this, but a little bit. That's okay. Means it's humid. It's cool. It's on the upper 40s, I guess, right now. I think the low tonight's supposed to be 40, 41. Good morning, everybody. Well, some cloudy skies, cool weather's kind of damp. You'll never guess what we're going to do today. Time to burn some piles. So, a little bit of rain last night. It's about 42 degrees this morning. Perfect weather. So we're going to go burn piles. Dave should probably already be out there working. I'm a little bit of a late start this morning. But it is a beautiful morning. At least for burning piles, which is okay. We'll get on the road and see what we can find. Uh-oh, street lights are on in the morning. We're obviously losing our summer sun. It's about 6:40 in the morning. We'll see how full the boat launch is. Should be starting to fill up. A lot of people kind of wait to go hunting to the last part of the season when it's going to be the coolest and as fall as possible. You hunters out there know what I'm talking about. Yeah, it's pretty full. It's good. There's a surprising amount of traffic this year as far as hunting traffic and other people accessing the property out here. You know, it's not uncommon to either meet 4 or 5 cars or pass 3 or 4. So, which is good. It's nice to see people out using the road. The road's holding up really good for the amount of traffic and the damp conditions we're having. This fall has been, I would say, typical for us, maybe a little wetter than normal. But we had such a hot, dry summer, it's okay to get a little rain. Okay, made it out to the farm. Actually have a mic on this time, so you probably can hear me better. So overnight, George was out here disking and working. The fires have burned down. We've lit a few more for today. So Dave's just behind that pile there. He's working, cleaning up, moving this direction. I got the dozer running, so I'll get busy moving some piles around, consolidating some of the other piles, get them to burn up a little better. Looks like it's going to try to clear off. Had a pretty good rain last night. Everything's fairly wet. And a slight breeze to keep the smoke moving, but definitely not too much wind. So it's looking pretty good. This will finish this part of the field up for burn piles. We've got other areas we're consolidating, getting piles put together. That may be ready next week or the week after. We'll see how it goes, or may even have to wait till next year. After we're done getting everything burned in this area, these are the smallest piles that'll be the most problematic. then we can move to the larger, more condensed piles that burn much easier and won't have to worry about as bad. Although these are burning pretty good. Very happy. Well, we finally threw the track. If you use a skid steer enough, especially in forestry applications, you're going to throw tracks. That's all part of it. In 1,000 hours, this is the first time we actually threw the track totally. It managed to stay on the sprocket, but it had come off on all the rollers and the front and rear roller. But it really couldn't have been in a better place, nice and flat and level. For a little bit, we tried to get it back on without going through the actual procedure of reinstalling the track. But after a few minutes and determining that we actually needed to go through the process, we went ahead and removed the panel, took the grease cert loose, and then went through and squeezed all the grease out of the ram and collapsed the track undercarriage. It is possible to do this with only one person, but having two people, somebody in the cab and somebody outside, definitely made it go faster for sure. And seeing how this was the first time for both me and Dave to put a track back on, it actually didn't go too bad. I'd like to say we won't be better at it next time, but we put enough hours on the piece of equipment, there will be a next time, and by golly, we'll handle it when it happens. Okay, we got the track back on. Took a little bit of creativity, but there's several videos online that show how to put the track back on, and it's definitely accurate. Well, look who came out. Dusty. How are you? You're not sure. Good boy.
Say hi, Dusty. Yesterday. And all that was all pushed in the tree pile over there, and had a bunch of brush in there yesterday. We've got it all cleared. Now you can see all the way through both pieces of it's clearing out the brush off of this area where we're burning. It's been about 2 hours ago. That pile is pretty much gone. And same with that one. These were the first two we lit this morning, about 9 o'clock. And there they go. Those two fires are virtually gone. They were just started a little bit shortly after each other. Isn't it just gorgeous? Dusty's the only one that came with me today. He gives a squirrel, but the girls are not here to go chase it, so he's kind of thinking he's not going to go chase it, even though he wants to. And today I am going to pick corn, get ready to head to Anchorage. So we got about 200 ears that people are wanting in Anchorage. So I'm gonna go see what I can muster up out of the farm here. See if I can get at least 100 here, 150. I think we got close to 100 at home, maybe. We will see. Okay, I'm gonna go pick corn. Let's see how we do.
And as we've said in previous videos, the corn out at the farm did not do quite as good as at the home, but it has definitely exceeded our expectations given the amount of effort we put into it, its location, the ground, all things considered. Pretty much had our hands full just with clearing, let alone growing a crop that not many people grow. But we gained valuable information and learned a bunch from this crop, which we'll put to use next year. We are definitely excited to plant next spring. More varieties, different types, figuring out which ones do best in our soil, in our climate. We were a bit surprised this year that we did not have any damage to the crop. We fully expected bears or moose to come and at least take a nibble, but other than one plant, we didn't have any damage, which is all right. And there's that little matter of feeding the geese the barley, but we weren't going to harvest it this year anyways, so if it gave them some fuel to make their migration, that's okay. And we definitely don't say it enough. We sure appreciate everybody watching and subscribing. Thank you.
Well, here's our first bundle. I'm just going to look and see if this one looks good.
We didn't get near enough video of picking corn. We'll have to make sure we do better next time and next year. Trying to squeeze so much into the time that we have available. And making sure we pick the corn at the last minute before heading to Anchorage. That way the customers get sweet corn that is somewhere around 18 hours from the time it's picked to the time they can pick it up. And the fresher the sweet corn, the better it is for sure. It just seems like a few days ago that we were clearing this land, pushing the logs out of the way, mulching the brush, and taking the rototiller and tilling the ground up so we could get this corn put in. Even at that time, there was still ice in places in the field. Well, next year, we'll have all that out of the way, and we get started even earlier and get the corn in sooner.
I'm there. So I'm just going to keep doing this and see what we can find. Not on that one so far. Oh, there's one. Right there. Alright, so I'm going to just keep on picking. And we're going to have potato soup and ham on Saturday. Thanks for watching.
Okay. Well, do a garden update for you. It is sunny. Sorry you're looking in the sun. Again, there's still pumpkins everywhere. The big one's down in there. I know we can't see it. Picked corn. So it'd be the kind of the third picking off of this patch. Oh, so a couple hundred ears. It's looking pretty skinny now. Depending on what weather does, we may get a few more off of it. If it doesn't freeze, another week or two, there's some ears that are still maturing. They'll go ahead and fill in. What you two doing? Causing trouble? Causing trouble, Bill? No? Alright, here's the pumpkins. Kind of a smaller one, but there's a pumpkin that took over the sunflowers. Well, it looks like the sunflowers are maturing. The flowers are dying. So again, we will see how much time we have this fall, see if they'll mature or not. And the peppers are continuing to grow. They're starting to change color.
Okay, so since it's a nice sunny evening, I decided that I'm going to go ahead and paint our gas tank, I should say, hunter green for diesel. So that's what I'm going to do tonight here on the farm, since it's a decent night. And I'll put you on the screen where you can watch what I'm doing. I don't have my pan, so I'm just going to take the paint, dump it on top, and roll it out. Okay, so I got 3/4 of it done. 3 sides almost. I gotta finish that, but that'll be at the very end. Gotta finish this one. Go on, dogs. Keep the dogs out of the paint. And I got this side to finish. Then it'll be all done for the winter. I'm not gonna worry about the inner sides of things until I find a paintbrush. Maybe this weekend, if it's nice weather, I'll finish it up. And back to it. I'll show you the end result. Okay. There it is. A lot easier to see since the sun has gone down. Nice and shiny green for diesel. It has number 1 feel in it, just in case we start dropping down cold weather. I'll get all the sides, areas that I haven't painted yet that are still brown, after we get a paintbrush here. I got one at the house, so there it is. Nice and done. Close out a good Wednesday night with this beautiful sunset. Dogs are loaded and we're ready to go.